Hi, I am Jason Schneiderman, and this lecture is for my English 201 class. So, why study literature? You can't graduate from this college until you have taken English 201, and that's a pretty standard course across universities in America, so why? Why do you need to read stories in which pretend people do pretend things when I'm not here to listen to you talk about real things that have happened to you? And there's a good answer to that. And the answer is that humans need stories, and our stories do a lot of work for us. Most of us start hearing stories as children. My nephews, for example, when I would put them to bed, liked a book called How Does a Dinosaur Say Goodnight? And in this book, the dinosaurs, like my nephews, did not want to go to bed. And they had all kinds of tantrums, and they did all kinds of terrible things, and they asked for more glasses of water, and they asked for another episode of television. And the idea was that my nephews should learn not to be like the dinosaurs, right? The dinosaurs are bad, and and it's okay for dinosaurs to be bad, because they're not people, right? And so they can displace their wanting to stay up and their sort of bad behavior onto these dinosaurs. And so what they're learning is to go to bed, right? The story that I'm telling them is actually helping them go to bed. And if you think about stories like The Boy Who Cried Wolf, a pretty common story about why you shouldn't lie, that if you say something bad is happening, then no one will believe you when something bad actually happens. The story tends to be more effective and more engaging and really kind of stays in the head better than just saying to someone, don't lie, right? The Boy Who Cried Wolf, this boy who keeps telling everyone that the wolf is coming so he can get out of things, learns it's not such a good idea. And so, and those stories teach us lessons. Most of us are taught to read literature through basically 5 ways when we are in K through 12. We are taught to look at the characters and identify the good guys. Who's doing a good thing, right? Which character do we want to be like? How should that character be rewarded, right? I mean, frequently, particularly if it's children's literature, the character will be rewarded for their good behavior. And so you'll get to see how, behaving yourself in a proper way or behaving ethically will get you rewards. Who are the bad characters? Who's doing something wrong? What is it that they're doing wrong? And how should they be punished? Right, and usually if we're reading children's literature, they will be punished, right? Voldemort is going to face his doom. Harry Potter is going to triumph in the end because he, did those good things. Voldemort will be punished because he did those bad things. And then our last thing, number 5, is how would you act in this situation, right? What would you do? If you're Harry Potter, to use our example, what would you do if you knew that you were going into a trap, but you still felt like you had to save people? What would you do? These are great ways to read. I'm not going to ask you not to do those things. They're very natural things to do. They are not college level reading. They are K through 12 readings of literature. You will still do them, but we are now in college. And so how do people in colleges, how do college instructors like me read differently than your K through 12 instructors? And the answer is that we treat literature as an archive of thinking. So if we were to look at Harry Potter, we wouldn't say who is good and who is bad. We expect that you know that by now. We expect that you know that it's wrong to be racist, right? Which is what a lot of Harry Potter is trying to teach you about. But we might ask other things like, why is this a metaphor for Nazis when there are no Jews in this set of stories? And how is it that all of these witches celebrate Christmas? Do they not know that this is a Christian holiday? We might, in the light of J.K. Rowling having revealed herself to be someone who is extremely transphobic and sort of refuses the possibility of transgender being in the world, we might go back and look at how she's thinking about gender, right? How is it that J.K. Rowling is presenting gender? We might look at Hermione. We might think about, what's going on there? So what I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to ask you to stop deciding who's good and who's bad and thinking about how you would solve the problems if you were there. When you read Frankenstein, of course, you're going to be really angry at Victor and you're going to be like, oh my God, he did such a terrible thing. And you're going to be like, really, you're going to really want to rescue the monster. You're really going to like Elizabeth. But the reason that those readings won't work at the college level is, one, those people aren't real. No matter how much you want Victor to do something other than what he does with the creature in Frankenstein, he won't. He's not real. They're made up. But what we are concerned with is, what does this reveal to us about the way that the world was working and being understood in that moment?